Israel's war in Gaza has mobilised Yemen's Houthi rebels to conduct missile attacks on shipping vessels traversing the Red Sea, sending a shockwave through the global shipping sector. But it's not just the Red Sea troubles that are impacting the sector at present. Alex Mills is an international trade and maritime law expert based in London, and they said it was possible other countries and groups might take inspiration from the Houthis. Alex, thank you for joining us. Is this true?
Yes, 100%. I think what we're seeing in the Red Sea is very easily used as a template elsewhere. As I said, this is the Houthis kind of providing a testing ground for any other actor who might have access to drones or ballistic missiles, or just be looking to stir up a bit of chaos, I guess. The South China Sea especially is, I would say, a bit more difficult even because of due to the coral reefs and the structures of the islands in that area and the heat and hotly disputed claims over where your economic zones begin and end. It becomes very difficult very quickly for you to reroute your ships. You can't really make the option of, we'll just go around the Cape in this sense. You're going to have to make massive changes to shipping. You're going to have to really look through how else you're going to do it. Your ship might be too big. You're going to have to make massive changes. And this is 1/3 of international trade. This isn't just for New Zealand. This is the main route between Asia and the rest of the world. So as soon as you start to cut that down or clamp that down, you're going to see some major impacts.
Mm. Do you think the shipping industry as it is prepared adequately for these sort of black swan events that seem to be happening quite a bit?
I think the shipping industry, for all it's worth, has been doing quite a lot of adjustment in the emission space for sure. So we have the IMO Sulfur 2020 emissions rule, which came in recently, and this work on kind of greener shipping. So that doesn't really solve the geopolitical crisis, but makes that when it does happen, the shipping industry is working really hard to make sure that they are being greener. So if the chaos does happen, it's not the emissions, it's not the climate that's going to suffer from this, from their perspective. I think also one of the wonderful things I've been seeing out of the industry is a real movement in tech and how to track and trace quite a lot of their ships, which is very, very useful from a business perspective, because at the moment you put a good on a ship, you hope it gets to the point that it's going to get. You might get a notification or an email at some point saying we're slightly delayed, but that's about it. There are so many wonderful tech options coming out of the industry at the moment, and from third parties and fintechs who are looking to explore how you can track a good from production to delivery. And as soon as you can track that, you can better make insurance claims. You know your legal rights. You know where your item is. You can update your customer. You can provide better services. And it makes you also, from the emission side, you can track it from birth to death type thing. And I think that's incredible and wonderful, and something that makes a real impact for businesses, so that when things like this do happen, firms can turn around and say, here's the information we have on your goods. They're lost or they're not lost. Here's the insurance claim you can make, and just makes functioning a lot easier for firms.
Has that come out of COVID disruption? Because of course that caused a massive disruption to that sector.
Yeah, it's been a bit half and half. So the shipping industry is very old and outdated. It still uses paper bills of lading quite often, so that everybody has to sign. It still uses paper contracts. And there's been a steady increase over the last 5 to 10 years to begin to use electronic bills of lading and electronic tracking. COVID obviously kind of provided a little pressure to continue to do that. But also, if you're looking in a high inflationary world where you have geopolitical incidences like this, you're looking to lower your insurance rates, you're looking to offer better deals for your customers, you should be looking at electronic and digital solutions, which are cheaper. Ports are starting to catch on. So countries are really investing in kind of port infrastructure and port technology that might solidify this. In the UK, we have the electronic trading bills. Act now, I believe. I think it's been signed in, where you now have to, or have the option to, making all of your trade documents electronic and digital. And as soon as you start to encourage that innovation and start to support it, whether that's through policy or investment or just providing kind of fintech sandboxes where you can test this out, and you lower the cost of that innovation and open that innovation more widely, it will catch on. It is easier. It will make everything better.
So, Alex, just finally, if you were speaking to a New Zealand exporter and that person was looking ahead to 2024, what would you kind of be pointing up to that person about what they have to bear in mind when they're sending goods to the other end of the world?
So I think there's two big issues that would definitely be worth watching. One is your climate change emissions angle of things. This is not only your emissions for how you're shipping things to Europe, which is including an ETS, or other countries which are creating an emission trading schemes, but it's also being aware of the impact that climate change can have on those shipments. The Panama Canal, for instance, is currently basically shut down due to a drought. So you can't get through the Panama Canal at the moment. And what do you do when that happens? So kind of looking ahead and saying, where could, climate change is a fact of life now. So how will that impact our shipping, and where do we go? I think the other side to think about this as you're looking forward to it and for the next year is, where can you incorporate easy innovation or innovation to make your shipping and your transport easier for you, easier for your firms that you're working with? How do you make that happen? And that may not be a one-year solution, but it's something to start testing out. You can run side by side, whether it's a digital bill of lading as well as a paper one as a backup, just kind of working with that. And I think those two things are ones to watch out for. I think the geopolitical situation isn't going to get any easier. If anything, we've got 64 countries who have elections coming up. It's going to get even more challenging. Policymakers are going to be using this to make points about onshoring and friendshoring, but that's just not practical for everybody. It's not reasonable either. And continuing to make that case to policymakers and to others of saying, the solution isn't to look inward and to close ourselves off. The solution is to work together and ensure that we have an international trade that supports our economy and supports others. And it ensures the best prices, right? That's how you get it.
Thank you, Alex.
For more content just like this and all the latest business and political news, head over to mbr.co.nz.